Most people think that dating is the first step, but the real work happens long before the first date. Today, we're breaking down how to know when you're actually ready, what the waiting season is really for, and the 3 non-negotiables a man needs before he's worthy of your heart. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, so you can build your future on a solid foundation. All right, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Uncommon Teen podcast. If that intro stirred something inside of you, it's because we're all tired of the playground and ready for the promise. But the big question is, how do we actually get there? How do you know when you've done the work, and how do you spot a man who has done the same? To help me unpack the waiting season and those non-negotiables, I've got the best team in the world with me. Joining the conversation this week, we have Sadie, Rosie, and Kaylee. Are you ready for that deep dive? All right, so looking at the teens around you, what are some of the pressures that you think teenagers feel when it comes to dating?
People don't think about it first. A lot of times people don't think about the character of the person. They're just wanting either the title of having a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they're looking to fit in or to feel loved in some way. If you go on social media, if you go pretty much anywhere, even in youth groups, there's like, oh, well, that person has a girlfriend or a boyfriend, this person and I just don't. So I think because of those feelings, you could be tempted to try to find a boyfriend, but that isn't exactly the person who God has for you.
I think it's a lot about fitting in, and sometimes I feel like there can be a lot of comparison with when someone, like one of your best friends has a boyfriend, but then you don't. And it's like you'd feel really left out sometimes. So I think that's kind of why.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's something a lot of people don't even think about. Like, you just do it because that's what you do. That's what everyone around you is doing. It is a pressure, and it feels like it's also the norm. So I don't know if everyone even thinks about it. Like, why am I looking for a relationship? I think it's just a norm that has been put out there.
So what do you think are some of the problems that come with that mentality?
I think that when someone is looking for a boyfriend, and if she's trying to find one really quickly, maybe she might not think as much about the character of the guy. And I feel like a lot of the time, the main focus goes to how people look. And that's like the main reason why people want a boyfriend or whatever. Like, it's all about how you look. I think that's something that we should think about when we're looking for a boyfriend, is thinking about his character and that type of thing, not just how he looks.
I've experienced this not just with some of my friends, but if you're spending all your time with your boyfriend, then you're missing out on building friendship, and you're missing out on time that you could be spending with your other friends. And also there is a risk if you're not careful, if you're not prayerful, and if you're not taking it seriously, or kind of just going because it's a trending or like because it's popular, then you're not going to assess the risks, and you're going to just be, oh, well, he likes me, he treats me this way, blah, 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 blah. But then you're also going to be more likely to start doing things that maybe isn't what you should be doing, and just spending too much time with them or different things like that can be an issue.
Yeah. I think it can lead you to put yourself in a lot of losing situations, and just situations you probably should not be. Because if you're just thinking, oh, I need to find a boyfriend, like you guys said, you might not be thinking about their character or what you should be doing, and your time can all go into that. And I feel like that can put you in a really losing situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think this is just a problem that the world has, or do you think this is a problem that Christians have? Like, you all are homeschooled, and so you don't see what's going on. I know, Rosie, you went to a Christian school, but even with that, you guys aren't seeing what's going on in like the public schools. Do you think it's a problem with Christians as much as it is with non-Christians?
Yeah, I think it can be.
Yeah.
I think for sure. I have friends who go to public school, do different things I've done with the public school, and I get to know them. They tell me things. But then I also have friends that go to Christian schools, and I have friends that are homeschooled. And honestly, a lot of Christians act similarly in that they want a boyfriend or they want someone to like them. I think that it definitely can be similar.
Yeah, I agree. Research actually shows us that teen girls, and I'm not going to go too much into detail on this, it's some more sensitive information, but like teen girls actually have a bigger problem with staying pure than non-Christian teen girls and the non-Christian teen guys. That pressure, I think when you add Christian on top of dating, I think there's that pressure, like you have to find the right one. And I don't know what the cause. I mean, obviously the enemy is coming after your generation like never before. And he's got a lot of teen boys, according to statistics,
statistics hooked. And now he's coming after the girls. And so I think that's the biggest reason why we see those statistics like we see them. What do you all think about dating? When do you think is the right time?
I think that dating is for the purpose of marriage. So you don't want to just go around dating for the fun of it. It's not for that. It's for the purpose of finding out if you are compatible with the other person for a future marriage, like committed relationship. So I don't think that it's a good idea to start dating somebody, even necessarily in high school, but definitely that's kind of between you and God. There's some things that I think need to be in place. And one of those things to keep in mind is, and maybe this will, I'll touch on this a little bit more because I know there was some questions they'll probably cover, but like the guy is the spiritual leader. And so for me, like I've definitely been in the place where there's somebody that seems to be following the Lord, but like you don't want to dumb down your faith and your pursuit after Christ just so that your faith is not as strong as the person you like.
So what are your thoughts on dating for pleasure versus dating for purpose?
I think that when you're just dating for pleasure, you may run into the wrong kind of guys. Like I said earlier, you may be more focused on how they look instead of what their actual character is. Because when you're thinking about marriage, you're going to want someone that you are compatible with. But when you're just dating for pleasure, it's like, oh, who cares? We're going to break up anyhow.
I mean, there are some relationships where the people that you're dating may not be bad. You know, they might be nice people. They might have a relationship with God. But even with that, there's still challenges.
Well, so like my intention is to date with the purpose of getting married. So I'm going to be thinking like about their character. I'm going to be thinking about like how is their relationship with God, kind of things like that. And if you're not dating with a purpose and you're dating for pleasure, those things don't really come into line with that because you're just dating for pleasure. You're kind of like feeding your flesh. I don't know. Those are my thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, I know in Song of Solomon too, it tells us not to awaken love before it's time. And so even if you are dating somebody who is nice and they have a great walk with God, if it's not the right time, I mean, there's a reason God tells us to not awaken love before it's time. Why do you think that's such a big problem?
Takes our focus off of pursuing a relationship with God and then starting to pursue a relationship with somebody else. And then that can become an idol. And the Lord, like, He deserves 100% of your devotion. And so I definitely think, like, even as teenagers, even for myself, like, there's still so much to grow in our relationship with Christ. And then adding that is like an extra, it can pull our attention away, especially if we're not dating on purpose. And then it reminds me of the verses about, when the Bible talks about being unequally yoked unbelievers. Like, you need to make sure that this guy is going to pull you toward Christ. And even if he's like a Christian guy, it still might not be who God has. So
I definitely agree that it's really important to have your relationship with God set in place before you have a relationship with a guy. Because, well, I'd heard this thing to make sure that you have a really great relationship with God before you have a relationship with other people, or like specifically romantic. I think that if you have Jesus as your foundation, then if somebody else fails you, then God will always be there for you, because every human will fail. And if you set your life onto a person, if you build your life on what they think or what they say or what they do for you, then those people will definitely fail you. If you have a relationship with God, then when everything else crumbles, God will still be there.
That's so true. I got saved when I was 17, and then I went off to college, and I met my husband a couple years later. That was something that I didn't even know like back then. And I met my husband. Obviously, we weren't married then. It was very short dating. We only dated for like 3 months before we were engaged and 5 months before we were married. And that was one of the first things that I had to learn was like, my center is God. It's not in the person that I'm dating or the person that I married. It's got to be centered on God, because otherwise you're expecting out of that person something that they were never created to give you. They were never created to give you satisfaction. They were never created to give you completeness. Like people always say, like, you complete me. Well, that's not biblical. God is the one that completes us. So Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So I want to talk about practicing for marriage with multiple boyfriends, how that can lead to a fragmented or broken heart. I want to talk about that because that is something that is really big. Dating is a huge thing in our culture. It was not huge in the Bible times. We don't see teens dating in the Bible times, but like it's really big in our culture and people don't think that it's a big deal. But even if you're dating just because you think somebody looks cute or whatever, like how does that affect us, in our spirit? How does it affect our heart? I want to hear from you all what your thoughts are.
I think that when you have multiple boyfriends, then you kind of have like a special connection with all of them. And when that connection gets broken, you have like broken part of your heart. And I feel like the more connections you have, the more your heart will be broken.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I remember my daughter, when she turned 13, we did some kind of like purity thing. And one of the things that it had us do was she would take 2 pieces of construction paper. One was white and then one was like a red heart. And she would put glue, like the liquid kind of glue on the heart, and then stick it to the paper. And then the first time she would just pull it off. And you'd see a little bit of like the dye from the red paper like left behind. It wasn't the way it was before she started, right? It's a little bit messed up. And then she did it again. And this time we left it on for a little bit longer. And then when we left it on for a little bit longer, some of that heart came away. Like some of her came away, and it was like some of her was left behind. And then we did it again. And this time we let it dry, and it was like, it shattered. And it was really just eye opening to see, like, when we have those ties, like you were saying, Sadie, when we have those ties, even if it's just for fun or whatever, you're leaving a little bit of yourself with those people, and it hurts. And in the end, like, you have already dated all these people, and when you find the one that you're going to marry someday, now you've got like this. I mean, obviously God can heal and he can make things right, and he's amazing like that. So if you've already started dating and you've already messed up or whatever, like, God is so good and he can heal 100%. He is so good that way. But like, it leaves a little bit of you behind, and it can hurt you in the long run, and we don't want that. And I know that there are girls that are listening and that you've been dating probably since you were like 5, I don't know. But I mean, God is the restorer. He is so good. So I want to make sure I say that too. But it's just so important, from this time on, to be like, you know what? I'm going to live my life for God. And when the time is right, the time is right. But having those multiple boyfriends, like Sadie said, it really does affect us. It affects our heart. Rosie, did you have anything you wanted to share?
I see this a lot with teens dating, especially teen girls, is they tend to like put their identity in the opinion of the person that they are dating. And I think this goes back to a little bit what Sadie was saying, but like, it is so important that you don't let other people's opinions, like especially the person that you're dating, define who you are. Because if something were to happen, like you said, like, it might not work out, okay? And then now you're left hurting. But like, if you have your identity in Christ instead of the whole, like, and you're trusting in him to guide you and to say, like, if this isn't the person for me, like, the Lord is still there for me. He still loves me unconditionally. He's still God. He's still my savior. If you can put your identity into what Christ says about you instead of the opinions of guys, then something might happen. And I'm not any means encouraging just, oh yeah, it's fine, like, go date all these people. But I'm saying, like, in order to pursue like marriage someday, you probably will date people. Make sure that you have this down, is to not put your identity in them, because if that breaks off, then you're questioning who you are. Does anybody love me? Instead of just knowing, you know what? God has a better plan for me. And you can say, I am still loved. And that is super important, I think, especially in teen dating culture.
You're so right. I know in youth ministry, I've seen that over and over again, where 2 students start to date. They both had a great walk with God. They, it was a cute couple by people's standards. And then something doesn't work out, they break up. And now, because their identity no longer was on who God said they were, it was on each other. And that's really easy for teenagers to do, because your brain is still developing, it's still growing. And so it's really easy to do. And that's why I always encourage, like, just wait a little bit longer. God's still working on you. But like, I've seen that so many times, and they break up, and then I never see either of them at church again. I see them several years later, they're not walking with God anymore. And it's like, it just breaks my heart. It's like, oh my goodness, just pursue God. Just pursue God.
For sure, from like a teen girl's perspective, just like, it's hard when you see all of the people around you and they're like, they make it look fun. It makes it look like something you really want. And it can feel almost like, how long do I have to keep waiting? But I definitely encourage you, like, If when you wait and when you wait on God to bring the right person, it will be so much better than you could imagine.
Okay, so talking about waiting. So I know waiting can be a challenge. So what are some of the tips that you would give these girls about waiting? How do you make it to where it's not hard?
Something you can do while you're waiting is you can pray for your future husband. You can pray that his heart won't be broken. So you can pray that your heart won't be broken. You can pray that you both just wait for each other and just wait for God's timing, because it will be perfect and you'll be perfect for each other.
So true. Going based off of that, I actually have like a kind of devotional journal thing, and it's called 31 Prayers for My Future Husband, Preparing My Heart for Marriage and Praying for Him. It's by Jennifer and Aaron Smith, and I got this like right before I went into high school, and I absolutely love it because I get to like pray for the person I'm going to marry before I even know who it is. But I also like to pray for like our relationship and his family and my relationship with God. Prayer 100% works, and praying, that's going to be preparing both of your hearts for each other through God before you even meet each other. And I think that's a really amazing way to do it.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that. I actually have a future husband journal. And so in the journal, I write out prayers. And a lot of times whenever I'm thinking, like comparing or falling into the trap of, oh, well, I wish that I had a boyfriend, I'll be like, you know what? God has somebody there for me. And then I'll pray for my future husband, like just like you guys are saying. And I think that's super important and a really good way to just draw your focus back to like God's plan.
All right, ladies, this was part 1 of our Waiting to Date series. I cannot wait for us to get into part 2 next week. So be sure to hop back in next week and join us. But before we get there, go ahead and repeat after me and mean it with all your heart. I am beautiful. I am valuable. My beauty and my value, they don't change. Even if someone fails to see how incredible God made me.